Good evening, and welcome along to Robin Elliott tonight. Hope we find you well this evening. We've got some great music on the way from local country star Cara McGillion. She's going to be with us in the studio. Also, if you're planning a holiday next year, what about checking out Iceland as a destination? We'll be hearing all from Visit Iceland. The cast of The Snow Queen will be joining me in the studio, and we'll be talking to Emma Thompson from Behaven Bodycare as well. So that's all coming up on the show tonight. But starting off the show this evening, I'm going to take you back to Belfast in 1972, and we're going to talk about this year's must-see Christmas show. It's called The Shop at the Top of the Town, and I'm pleased to say the writer Michael Cameron and one of the stars of the show, Marty Maguire, joins us in the studio. Guys, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
First of all, both of you, congratulations. I was there on the opening night, and what a fabulous show.
We've only been opened a couple of days so far, but already the response and the sales have been through the roof. So we're already delighted with it, and it's great.
It's something so different. I didn't know what to expect, but I mean, this is really your ultimate feel-good Christmas story, isn't it?
It is, because whenever I was asked to write it, the one thing I wanted to do was to do something completely different. So I didn't want to do, some of the stuff that you might normally see around a Christmas show. And it's partly inspired by some of the old Hollywood movies, of Jimmy Stewart and things like that, but set in Belfast in the 70s for a bit of nostalgia. So it's working really well. And
if anybody remembers those fabulous old department stores like Anderson and Macaulay, Robinson Cleaver, places like that, that's what you're basically getting on the stage, aren't you? That fabulous staircase and things.
It's like time travel, know, and that was one of the things we wanted to do, was to make audiences feel they were already there before the show started. So the foyer is done up as the bar area of the shop and restaurant area, and everything is just a dream. And then you come in and the stage is revealed, designed by and lit by Kieran Bagnall. So it's stunning to look at, and everyone's having a ball in it.
And when you think about Belfast in 1972, they were pretty dark times, weren't they?
Yeah, because the other thing is, people say, why 72? Well, I wanted it to be close enough for people to still have nostalgic memories, because even though it was a dark time, we as a people still fondly have memories of people who were with us and things like that. And so I wanted to kind of also pay tribute to the resilience of the people of Belfast, who were determined to have their Christmas even through some of the darkest times. It's just a mere glance to it. It's by no means reference any of the things other than the security barriers and things like that, but it's really a very joyful show, but nevertheless still a tribute. And there must be people coming to see the show as well who don't remember the Ring of Steel, or don't remember having to get their handbags checked as they walked into shops and things. Yeah, there are, and the beauty of that is because that provokes discussion. Yeah. So then they're coming out at the interval, and there's a couple of scenes in the show which are provoking real big talking points at the interval. And the best thing about it is you can see people not having to be ushered back in. I want to get in and see what happened, And again, younger audiences they're enjoying the nostalgia, they're taking part in it, and they're loving the jokes and the humour of the time. And they've usually got someone beside them just to give them a bit of a reference to what a certain restaurant or nightclub might have been. But even at the start of the show, there's so many Belfast references packed into like 2 minutes at the start, isn't there? Things like the Scandia restaurant, which did great desserts, if I remember correctly. Absolutely. Well, the thing is, there's a number of songs in the show, and I've written the lyrics for them, and the amazing Garth McConaughey has put melodies which are stunning. Mm-hmm. And the first song is really a journey through Belfast, so the street names and the occupations and the churches and cathedrals are all in that, so that's setting the scene as well. And a lot of the other songs are Marty has a cracking song in it about his character giving advice to a younger man, and it's a very, very retro piece of advice which includes all sorts of references of the time.
Let's bring Marty in. If people remember TV shows like Grace Brothers and Are You Being Served, there are little bits of that in it as well, isn't there?
Yes, there's definitely, but because it's set in 1972, there's not a mobile phone inside.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. And if somebody's late, you're wondering why they're late, and it's not, well, can you message it? It's not, you're just going to have to wait until they get there to see what excuse they come up with that day, and that happens a lot with the lovely character Flora, played beautifully by Libby Huntley.
Yeah.
Libby Smith. So it's just one of those gorgeous retrospective. I think, as we were saying, the set just drags you right back into that time, and some of us are lucky enough to actually remember that time as well.
Rosie McClelland has done a fantastic job on the costume.
Yeah.
Now, Rosie's a very well-known actress and has decided to kind of branch out a little bit as a sideline into costume. And the costumes she has made and are evocative of the era as well. So you're seeing it, you're feeling it, and you're hearing it.
Yes,
and you're right back in it.
And you've managed to get this fabulous ensemble cast as well of some of our top acting talent here, haven't you?
Well, Theatre at the Mill, in the summer when they sat down to begin casting this, we were asked to put a bit of a wish list in of people, and then it would go out obviously in the usual processes. And we had the astonishing experience of our wish list coming true. And I can't, honestly, I get quite emotional when I see the people who are on that stage saying words that I've written, because it's beyond my wildest dreams, really, to have a cast of this calibre. And I think that alone, go and see this show, because it might be the only time you get to see all of these people on the same stage.
Yeah.
And it's not to be missed.
And of course, it's a big love story as well. Well, a double love story, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because there's, again, going back to that time, and we've got Rory McCollum and Rosie Barry, who are two store workers who can't stand each other but may secretly have a little notion of each other. And they very comically fight this routine out. But somewhere in the background, Mr. Hoffman and another member of staff, may just be realising that this Christmas might be a time for romance for the older members. Love isn't just for young people at Christmas; it's there for anybody. And so it's just that other layer of a bit of joy for the older members of the audience to see anything's possible.
So we mentioned Libby there, who of course was your Ruby Murray in your Ruby show, wasn't she? She was fabulous in that as well, wasn't she?
She was, and and now I'm watching her. She was. I was watching her as Ruby when she was playing Ruby near the end of her days. And now she's skipping around the stage like a young thing, dancing and twirling, and she's gorgeous.
And has to go through the security barriers maybe 3 times just to make sure she was searched properly by the big Welsh guardsman. So she's hilarious.
We've got the lovely Mary Moles, who's playing a number of parts and is so gorgeous to watch, and David Markin, who has come in again playing a few roles which he has made beyond what the script called for, and he's really just bringing those things to life. And Sean Cairns, obviously, we've mentioned as Mr. Hoffman. Cast of dreams, it really is.
Of course, earlier this year you had great success with Carson and the Lady as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and again that was a different direction. One of the things I'm really, as a writer, I like to do different things. So I don't want to take one story and then tell it 5 times in different shows. So at the minute I'm looking at doing maybe an opera based on a silent movie from the 1920s. And another thing I'm interested in, you tune up there, tune up.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah. He's auditioning already, honestly. And I have another play written, which is a story of an affair between a married woman and a single man. So I'm really interested in different stories each time and not getting stuck in the one route, but all of them seem to centre around Northern Ireland, and I'm very happy about that.
And we might have something coming soon as well that they'll have to watch this space for too, won't we? Yes, indeed.
About another famous figure from, let's say, the radio history of one of the best ever radio personalities that came from this.
A little
this
clue there. So you have, Marty. What about your year? You got married this year, didn't you?
I did indeed. I got married to the wonderful Joe Donnelly, Joe Donnelly Maguire, who's wowing them in the Opera House literally as we speak.
And the two of you were together last year in the Opera House, weren't you?
We were mommy and daddy bear last year, yes. As I said, to be of a certain age in a bear suit, sometimes you go, but we had the best time. And Joe is now one of the wicked stepsisters with the fabulous Jolene O'Hara at the Opera House.
Yeah, is it true you can't say ugly sisters anymore? Is that something?
I believe with the current climate that we live in, apparently that's no longer deemed appropriate.
Okay.
It's okay. They're the wicked or the evil stepsisters now.
Right,
so
okay.
Apparently that's what it is, yeah.
So what's your plans for Christmas then? Because obviously you're both working.
We're both working, thankfully. We're very, very fortunate and very grateful to both be working. And as soon as that's over, we both have, thankfully, more stuff. I'll be in the history of the Troubles, according to my dad.
Of course, yes.
I'll be in that in the Opera House in February, so I'm really looking forward to Ivan Little has gladly passed the baton on to myself, so I will take that with literally big shoes to fill.
So when does that open?
That's open. It's in February in the Opera House. I forget the exact dates, but so we start rehearsals mid-January for that.
Excellent.
And then there's a few other things. Thankfully, a few other things after that as well.
Brilliant. So. We look forward to that. Michael, what's your plans for Christmas?
Well, again, this is my first Christmas working in a theatre, and one of the joys of it is that your Christmas does start on the 1st of December because you're immediately into the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait those number of weeks that you normally do for everything to kick in. So the house is already feeling Christmassy, which is great. But we'll have a quiet few days with the family and then back in for the new year to close the show. And
New Year's Eve, that's the final date, isn't it?
New Year's Eve, there's a matinee, which is like all the shows is selling really well. And I think it's a lovely thing. Go to the theatre Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve and then go home and be with the family. It sounds perfect, and this show, I think, will give people, a lovely afternoon out and then go home and enjoy your family and have a lovely Christmas. That's great.
Definitely. Michael and Marty, thank you so much for coming in, and the best of luck with the rest of the run.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay, it's music time, and here with her brand new single, Route 66, here is Cara McGillion.
Hi everyone, this is your country girl Cara tuning into you live from Celtic Country on this blustery afternoon. I swear it's days like this I wish I was just driving down Route 66.
Down the road, rooftops down, winds blowing in my hair, radio's playing songs my daddy sung. The wind behind put my foot down hard. This is the life, that's the way to be when you're young. Live for today, don't worry about yesterday. Life's too short, so have no regrets. Just cruise on down on Route 66. Life's what you make it, and life is what you get. Bumps on the road, corners to take, people that block your way, but keep on motoring on whatever comes. Keep your eye on the road, you'll get through it all. Just be yourself, someday you'll see the finish line ahead. For today, don't worry about yesterday. Life's too short, so have no regrets. Just cruise on down on Route 66. Life's what you make it, and life is what you will get. Roads can get rough, there'll be bumps ahead, divergence to follow. Keep your eyes ahead, there's no looking back. So live for today, don't worry about yesterday. Life's too short, so have no regrets.
So there we go, that's a great new song called Route 66. Fabulous music video as well from Cara McGillion, and I'm pleased to say she joins us now in the studio. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, good to see you. So tell us about the music video first of all. Was that your car that you used in that music video?
Oh, I wish it was my car that we used in that music video. No. Sadly, Pat Kirk Sonoma let us use their Mustang that they had in the showroom. They actually let us use the Fiesta too, but I'm more in love with the Mustang that I got to sit in. Now, it wasn't moved from the showroom, obviously, but I enjoyed every minute of that. It was so fun, and even just the cameraman that worked on it with us, he was just so fun, and everyone was just so easy. There was no stress. It was just, go with the flow, see what happens.
And what about the song? Because you wrote that one yourself, didn't you?
That one was wrote with the help of David Doonan. So we sort of sat down, Daddy had a conversation about Route 66 and how, because actually Philomena's Route 65 to Nashville quite inspired this one, because I was like, I'd love to record that one, and then we were like, why don't we try and do our own spin on it? So David had actually started writing the song whenever I got my hands on it. The majority of it was wrote, and then I'd obviously come in and I was like, oh my God, yes, let me add a few bits to it and stuff. So it was mainly wrote before I got my hands on it, this one anyway. But I absolutely love the song, and it gives me that American feel, and I love my American country music, so it gives me that feel. So,
and would you like to take your music to America one day?
Oh my God, I hope so. I wish. I'd go to Nashville in a heartbeat, I really would. I actually went a few years back with the Community Youth Choir. We did like a 10-day stint in Nashville, just sort of singing around places, and we sung in the Hall of Fame. And we all gathered in that circle as well, and we sung in the actual Hall of Fame itself, like kind of circle being broken, and we sung down by the river, and oh my God, it was, if I could go to Nashville, I would, that'd be me, like.
Well, your debut album is out now. We'll talk about that in a second, but taking you right back to the start, was music always part of your life?
It always like dabbled here and there. Like I'd done a few school productions and musical theatre and stuff, but it wasn't until I was 12 and I lost my nanny. So being my mummy's mummy sadly passed away, and I used music as sort of like a therapy to get over that and to help me through that, because it was my first sort of real loss. It was my first going through grief. So I used it as a music therapy, and then I started singing lessons and started writing music, and then it sort of, the rest is history, so they say.
Well, the first time I heard of you, you'd written a song called Empty Promises, which was a pretty moving song, wasn't it?
Yeah, so if anybody that knows me, and for those that don't, my mum and daddy were very badly injured in the Oma bomb back in '98. Now, I wasn't born then, but I think a lot of people don't realise that, yes, it affects them, but also I've grew up on it. I've grew up with mummy and daddy constantly in and out of hospital. Like, they're still in and out of hospital to this day, and the 20th anniversary was coming up, and I thought, you know what, I'd love to just write a song that's not about how terrible, and that doesn't actually mention the day itself, that just sort of, it's like more or less a poem. The song is laid out like a poem. There's no verse, there's no chorus, it's just 3 verses. It's laid out like a poem. And I sat down and I wrote it, and then I was like, okay. And then I took the guitar, which was rough enough until I got to the studio, and we sat down and with my musical director, and that's when Empty Promises was born. But I didn't want to do anything that would annoy anybody at the time, because obviously it's a very sensitive subject, and I don't like, obviously it's spoke about in my house, but not a lot of people speak about it. Some people don't, but I sat down and I was like, I want to do something, I want to keep it sensitive, I want to keep it real. And obviously my background in it as well, I did it for mummy and daddy. They didn't hear it until it was done, which they were driving me up and down to the studio, so I still don't know how I got around them not hearing it, but yeah, they didn't hear it then until it was completely done, and then I brought them up and let them listen to it.
And for people who were around on that day of the Oma bomb, it's something that will always stay with us. I remember I was flying to Edinburgh and the news was breaking on the radio, and we didn't actually know how serious it was until we landed in Edinburgh and started hearing all the stories coming through, because there was no social media and stuff in those days. It was, when the news actually broke, but a horrific time for your family. Yeah,
definitely. Like, obviously mummy and daddy, and then my auntie as well was badly injured, and we lost my wee cousin at the time. She's my older cousin, and I keep saying wee, but yeah, it was pretty horrific for my family and what they'd gone through, but I think I love the way mummy and daddy have a light on the situation. Like, obviously this terrible thing has happened to them, but they, like, my whole time growing up, people would be like, oh, you're wee mummy, or oh, you're wee daddy, but mummy doesn't, like, take sympathy very well. She's very much like, I'm a survivor, not a victim. Like, yes, this has happened to me, but she doesn't dwell on it too much. Yeah. And even, like, I see it now, even when she's, like, sick and she's like, no, I'm fine. Like, she's very much, I am a victim, I have overcome this, and this is just a part of me that.
And you're keeping her busy, because she's working away on all your stuff as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she's no time to sit and delve in, and I keep her absolutely busy. She does all my PR and marketing, and then she helps me with stuff as well when I do the DJing and stuff. So yeah, she's mental, she's flat out, she's no time.
You mentioned the DJing there. You're on the radio as well, aren't you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's actually coming up in a year now. I'll be on the air. I took on a venture in Celtic Country Radio. I was like, do you know what? I'd love to be a DJ. So I started Country Girl Cara, it's called. Hence why this first song on the album is called Country Girl. That's where it come from. Yeah, I love it. I love doing the DJing. It's something I never thought of before. I would have always been like, no, I'm a singer, I'm not anything else. And I listened to loads of people like Kevin Byrne and all those people that are already on Celtic.
Seamus J, he's on there, isn't he?
Seamus J, oh, I love Seamus. Yeah, Seamus is on there too. They're all great crack, and they're all they've all been about for a very long time. And I've listened to loads of different people, and I was like, do you know what? I'd love to do that. Yeah. And then recently, there in the last few months, I've took on a chart show as well on Celtic. So, yeah, I'm keeping busy with that as well.
As well as the country stuff, you're a big musical theatre fan, and you love singing musical theatre as well, don't you? In fact, you studied that at uni, didn't you? Yeah,
so I did a year in Liverpool at John Murr's doing musical theatre, and then country music sort of took off, so I moved back home. But I'm a massive musical theatre geek. I do musical theatre productions. Like, I'm in one coming up now very soon in Oma, Rent.
Oh, what a show.
I know, I love Rent.
What a show.
What a show. I'm in the ensemble for that, but I'm absolutely loving it. And I have a few more productions hopefully I'll get auditioning for now very, very soon. But I'm a musical theatre geek. I have been my whole life, like going to the West End and seeing productions and seeing tours. I think the first time I realised I was in love with it, Mummy got me tickets for Legally Blonde in Belfast. It was when Lucy Jones was playing Elwood, and I went up to see it, and I just, from then on, I knew. And then I joined my local theatre school, and it sort of took off from there.
And we had Laura McCrory on the show last week as well, and that's kind of the road she's doing. One minute she's doing country, the next minute she's doing musical theatre as well.
Yeah, I know Lauren very well, actually. We're from around the same area. She's from not too far from me. Actually, when I first started out in country music, Lauren was the girl that I spoke to, and she was sort of like, Lauren, help me. Or I was doing a competition in the Bird's Nest, and I was doing Cowboys and Heroes and trying to pick songs. I was like, Lauren, help. But then also she's down the musical theatre, like she's doing Blood Upon the Rose at the minute, and I'm like, she is my ideal career, like doing musical theatre and country, and yeah.
Tell us about the album, because it is out now, and you had the big launch the other night, and everybody was at the launch. Uncle Hugo was there and everything, wasn't he?
Yeah, we got Uncle Hugo, which to be honest, I love Uncle Hugo, but you know, whenever people are like, we're doing our launch, I never expected half the artists to be there that were, and I'm incredibly grateful. Like Lee Matthews, Barry Kerwin, Justin McGurk, Noel, Katie, Florence, I've started naming them long enough to name them all. Malcolm, Georgia McCusker, who's a newbie as well, and Hugo. Honestly, it was the best night ever, and I was raging once it was done. Like, obviously coming up to it, I was panicking. I was like, oh my god, is anybody going to come? And then whenever it came and it was over, and then I was lying back at home and I got into my bed and my friends had stayed over and they were like, how do you feel? And I'm like, raging. The big night's over, although the album is still going. And the album, we sort of sat down in terms of the album. It's called This Is Me, because we wanted people to know, like obviously some people know of me, some people don't, but we wanted every song in that album, if you ask me about it, I can tell you exactly where it relates to my personal life in some way or another, or whether I just genuinely like the song, but I'm connected to each and every song in that album.
So the song of yours on there called Country Girl, tell us about that one.
Yeah, so obviously I'm Country Girl Cara on Celtic, and I sort of sat down and I went, so the main thing on it is I'm a country girl, I'm going straight to the top, and obviously that's ideally where I want to be. I want to be up there with the likes of Philomena and Susan and all of them lovely artists. But I sat down and David gave me the music to it and he goes, go on, this is your country girl song. So I was like, okay. So I sat down with Mummy to write this one, and you can see it sort of takes you on my journey. So this first verse is like what my dreams are, and then it goes into that I've overcome bullying and stuff like that. It doesn't mention it directly, but like it sort of shows you my story and where I've come from, and that I've overcome all this, and I'm hopefully going on my way up anyway.
Well, I think you are. The album's out now, and if people want to get their hands on your album, how do they do that?
Yeah, so it'll be out on iTunes, on Spotify now very, very soon. If they keep an eye on my Facebook, Cara McGillion Music, I haven't got a specific date for it yet because I'm really bad and I can't remember. But also, if they just want to give our page a message, or head on over to CelticCountry.com, and the details are all there, so they'll be able to get purchasing it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play another one of your songs now. I'm going to go for one that you wrote about our Queen of Country, Philomena Begley. This is such an amazing song with such amazing lyrics. Tell us about this one.
So Philomena Begley, it was wrote just after the second lockdown, and I was sitting, and everybody has their grandparents that sit and tell you all the stories, but my two grandas love telling me stories of all the dances they'd been to and all the sort of crack they got up to at the dances, because it's so funny. In the video you'll see I'm sitting at a table talking to them, but we actually got the behind the scenes, so obviously without the music over it, and see listening to the stories they're telling is absolutely hilarious. So sort of sat down and I looked at all the greats. I wanted to go back to the show band days because they're not talked about enough and they're not
I agree.
done enough. I love the show band days. See, listening to stuff and Miami show band stuff like that there, like listening to them, I'm like, oh my God, yes. And then obviously Philomena. Oh, I love Philomena. So I sat and I was like, yes, we'll write a song. And then obviously my granddad's influenced it very much. And I sat with David and I was like, do you know what, I want to write one about all the greats and I want to try and name drop as many people as I can in this song. So yeah, we got Brent and Shine, Big Tom and the mainliners. We've obviously mentioned Miami Shogun, we've mentioned Philomena. Yeah, I love this song.
When I first heard the record, I phoned Des Lee from the Miami Show Band and I said, Des, you're getting a mention in this song. So he loves it as well, so he does.
Oh
so we'll finish off with that song now. Cara, it's been great meeting you. Thank you so much for coming in and the best of luck with the new album.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So here she is with that fabulous song all about the fabulous show band era and of course Philomena Begley as well. Here's Cara McGillion.
It was a sorry sight for all to see, but we can still hear all the tunes on any weekday afternoons. Just tune into the crack with Hugo D. Showbands packed the halls and dances, everyone was up there jabbing. You had to know the moves just to be seen. Miami Showband, Brandon Shine, and Big Tom was on the main line, but Philomena Begley was the queen. Philomena Begley was the queen. Philomena Begley, still the queen.
Now, new research shows that the general public are sick of space tourism, especially with a focus on the climate and the cost of living. Why make the damaging, pricey trip when the same landscapes can be found in Iceland? In fact, movies like Star Wars, Alien and Thor have all been filmed there to represent space. And Iceland has just launched a space billboard on a weather balloon with a simple message: Iceland is better than space. To find out about the latest campaign, I'm pleased to say that the head of Visit Iceland, Siga, joins us now on the line. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So tell us about this new campaign then, Mission Iceland. It's taken off. What's it all about then?
As you know, space travel has been hitting the headlines lately. And what we wanted to do is to remind the people that are waiting to get into space, the ones that are thinking about going into space, that we actually have a destination right here on Earth that can offer otherworldly experiences. And it's easier to access. It doesn't cost billions of dollars, and it's right here in Iceland.
Now, loads of movies like Star Wars and Thor have been filmed in Iceland to represent space, haven't they?
Exactly. Iceland is a land of many contrasts. So this is a pretty vast country. It's about half the size of UK. So we have a lot of diversity, and Iceland is a really popular film location. We have had many space movies shot here as well, like you mentioned. And we were also the training ground for NASA astronauts because we don't only look like space, but we have very similar circumstances in some areas as are in space.
Now, when you think of Iceland, you think first of all probably about the Northern Lights. When's the best time of year to go and see the Northern Lights then?
So the best time would be like September, October until March, April. You can see them all winter. In the wintertime, we have a lot of darkness, but that makes it easy to see them. And we've actually had a really strong Northern Light season this year. And
you also have a thing called the midnight sun, don't you?
That's the thing. Like I say, Iceland is a land of contrasts. So in the summertime, the sun doesn't set. And this is always an argument with my kids every spring. You know, you have to go to bed now, but it's daylight outside. It is evening. But that's one of the things I love about Iceland. The new season, each new season brings something new, so you never get tired of the surroundings.
And I know when you go to Iceland, every day there's a different experience, such as the geothermal baths. They're very popular, aren't they?
That's actually my favorite. I think this is the perfect situation you can be in, just surrounded by warm water. And we have had a lot of geothermal baths opening up in Iceland in recent years. The Blue Lagoon is, of course, the most famous one, but now almost every region in Iceland has their own geothermal bath, and some more than one. So this is something that's really a great way to experience what the country has to offer. But we also have over 170,000 public pools, and they are also all with geothermal or heated water. Most of them have hot tubs and saunas. So this is something that Icelanders use very much, and I encourage people to try.
And for people who've never seen a live volcano before, Iceland's full of them, isn't it?
Yes, sometimes they are erupting, and we had an eruption early this year and also last year. And that's the thing about Iceland, because there are only 370,000 of us living here. So this is the least densely populated country in all of Europe. So when we have an eruption, it's always, very far away from where people live, and we tend to drive towards it and try to witness it. Yeah. And this is just a magnificent thing to see, a new Earth being born.
Now, what about the food in Iceland as well? Because you have some great cuisine, don't you?
Well, that's the thing that often comes as a surprise to people, because we are known for our natural beauty, of course. But we actually have a very thriving culinary scene. We have award-winning culinary chefs team that has been winning awards all over the world. And they are bringing their expertise and quality to Icelandic restaurants. Now we have 2 Michelin-star restaurants in Reykjavik. And restaurants all around the country, they are more and more offering local produce and priding themselves in that. We have a lot of microbreweries all around Iceland, so you can taste local beer. So this is what people are often pleasantly surprised, is the quality of food in Iceland.
And of course, you also have very good quality of air. And I was reading the other day as well that Iceland is one of the most peaceful places to visit, isn't it?
Yes, we have been on the top of the Peace Index of countries in the world for, I think it's 14 years in a row. So Iceland, we don't have an army, so this is a very peaceful country in general. And we have very clean air. We have that, that space doesn't. Lots of oxygen, it's free, and it's really clear.
Now let's come back to this latest research, which shows that over half of the people surveyed believe we should be investing in our own planet over space travel, which is quite interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I think it can also be a result of the pandemic, when people were locked up inside. There's a really strong will to travel and to explore our own surroundings and other countries and our planet. So there's a very strong will to travel, and I think people are prioritizing travel now, especially after the pandemic. And people want more meaningful trips. They want to they want their trip to offer something like healing and nurturing to them. So I believe Iceland is a really good location for that, where you can just be one with the nature, you can relax, you can detach, and I believe that's what people are looking for now.
And of course, if people are thinking about booking a holiday at the moment, they're thinking about other factors like the cost of living, which is rising all the time. So is Iceland a really expensive place to visit and stay in?
Actually, now it is more affordable than it has been before. But Iceland, it will never be a cheap destination. We have a very high standard of living here in Iceland, and people have decent wages. So things cost here in Iceland, but you get value for your money. And we see that we are monitoring how happy visitors are with the trip to Iceland. And we have had one of the highest, it's called Net Promoter Score. It means how likely you are to recommend the destination to your friends and relatives. And Iceland has had one of the highest Net Promoter Scores of destinations in the world for many years now. So we see that even though people pay for their experiences, spend money, they're really happy with what they're getting out of it. So I say they're getting value for the money. And
it's great to see more flights from the UK and Ireland. So when is the best time to visit then?
You know, Iceland it's like a different destination if you come during winter time and during summertime. Like we were talking about, in the summer you have the 24-hour daylight. Then you can go, you know, golfing or experiencing a lot of, you know, interesting things, hiking, but you can also experience the glaciers during the summertime. But in the wintertime, then you can go on the Northern Lights tours. And then everything like cozies up a bit. You can go to the restaurants. We have a lot of, you know, thriving cultural scene during wintertime. We have music festivals and literature festivals. But you can also experience things in Reykjavik, like fly over Iceland, where you are flying. You have this video of the whole island where it's like you're flying over one of the most brand new attractions in Reykjavik. It's called the Icelandic Lava Show, where people are replicating real lava. They're melting lava, so you can see that in Reykjavik in a very safe environment. So there are a lot of things to experience, you know, in all seasons. For visitors from the UK, winter tends to be the most popular time to visit. And in 2019, which was the last normal year, November and February were the biggest months for visitors from the UK.
Fabulous. Well, you've sold it to me. If people want to get more information, where can they go to?
So the best place to go is visit Iceland.com.
Well, Sigríður, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
You too, thank you.
Dad and I were together again this morning. We were heading down to Bee Island to get it ready for its first bee occupants. We're going to stake our hive stands there so we can easily set hives on it in the spring and summer. We are so lucky to have this beautiful wetland. And it'll be a great experiment to see how well the bees do with all of this nature around them. Our apiary's just up the hill in a really wild area and the bees love it. We need to put stakes in the ground and screw the hive bases to the stakes. That will mean that any hives that are set on top of the stands will be extra secure. We are going to put our first hive on it this weekend. But until then, it's goodbye.
So there we go, a TikTok page that is clocking up thousands upon thousands of viewers. I think you've got something like 75,000 people on there, haven't you?
Nearly
Yeah.
75,000, yeah.
But you want more, don't you?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're on TikTok, if you could please follow Misbehaving123.
We'll talk about your business in a second, but I see you've brought this award with you
Yes.
from the Local Woman Awards. What was all that about then?
Well, I got nominated for the Best Business in Belfast, Antrim and North Down.
Yes.
And I won.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It is a beautiful award.
It is.
Very
it's
proud.
Stunning, designed by Grania Maher as well, I
Yes.
believe. So yeah.
We worked very hard for it. You know, we've put in 4 years of hard graft, so it's lovely just to get something to recognise that at the other end.
So tell us about the business then. Why did you decide to set it up? I believe bees have always been part of your life in some way, haven't they?
Well, bees became part of my life about 8 or 9 years ago. Probably 9 because the time goes in so quickly. Before that, I I never really contemplated bees or how important they were. I hadn't really ever stopped in the garden to watch bees on the flowers. Never had thought about them. And about 8 or 9 years ago, then I was I had a skin issue. I had acne, and I was trying to heal my gut, to heal my skin. And I got some lovely honey from a shopping channel, and I was eating it, and I was like, I remember the honey back in the 80s. That was like, is it clover or something? It had like a red lid, and it was like a set honey.
Yes.
And I hadn't tasted any honey that was that nice in years. So I was eating the honey, and I just, as you do, I got my phone out and I Googled, how is honey made?
Yeah.
Even though I did know it came from bees, but I didn't know the full story.
Yes.
So honestly, I just went down this like tunnel of bees and honeybee behaviour and how important they are and how intelligent they are. And
you learned all this yourself?
I learned it all myself, yeah. Just through research, really.
Yeah.
I started reading books about bees, and then I kind of decided, I just felt like this super strong compulsion to become a beekeeper.
Okay.
And that didn't happen overnight.
Yes, yeah.
But it was definitely a process, and that's how it started.
And people forget about the kind of health benefits there are around honey as well. I mean, there's plenty of healthy things, isn't there?
There is. Well, honey's it's one of the most faked foods in the world,
Right.
I should say that. So if you are buying honey, make sure you're buying it from a reputable source. But yes, it's full of good bacteria. It's full of the benefits from the plant as well. We know how important plants are in medicine.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very good food to be consuming.
So you ended up then getting all these beehives in
Yeah.
your back garden then. How many bees do you have at the minute?
We have 14 hives at the moment, but none of them are in the back garden anymore. I
Okay.
just want to let my neighbours know that. None of those bees on the flowers in the summertime are mine. We did have them in the back garden to begin with. There's a lot of bees in a hive, especially in the height of summer.
Imagine.
So, I mean, absolutely, I would say to anybody that's wanting to start out as a beekeeper, you can have bees in your back garden, you can have a hive, absolutely. But if you're going to have quite a few hives, you may just want to have that conversation with your neighbours first. If you open the hive in the summertime, all the bees will come out, and it might.
See, I always remember that movie, The Swarm, from the 1970s, which scared me. And
Or Candyman.
I've been afraid of bees ever since. I mean, you must have been stung a few times.
Oh, I've been stung. I mean, all the time. Just even last week, we were at the hives, and we weren't actually physically going to the area that we have the beehives in for the bees. We were going for another reason, and I noticed as we were walking past that one of the hive roofs was slightly askew, so I walked down just to fix it. I wasn't in my bee suit, which isn't sting proof, by the way. I just want to say that they're not sting proof. You have to put layers on underneath, which I never do. Anyway, on this occasion I didn't have any protection at all, but I was just fixing the roof. And I fixed the roof, and a couple of bees came out, and Dad and I just walked off. But it wasn't, I could feel something on my arm, but I thought it was here, but I thought it was a label, and we had driven off by that stage, and I thought it was just a label, kind of like, scratching my arm. And then I could feel the buzz, and I said to Dad, you're gonna have to stop the car a wee second. And I looked up, and there was a bee hanging out of my arm. So it had crawled up my sleeve and had stung me in the arm, but I get stung all the time.
And is it true that when a bee stings you, it dies straight away?
Only honeybees.
Only honeybees?
Only honeybees, yeah.
Okay.
Wasps don't die, and bumblebees don't die whenever they sting you, because their stinger isn't barbed.
Okay.
So a honeybee has got a barbed stinger. It's almost like the bottom of a sword. So it goes into human skin and it gets caught. So as the honeybee flies away, it pulls its digestive tract out. So the honeybee dies because of injury more so than because it stung you.
I'm going to get into my bee suit. It's nearly 5 o'clock. Me and Dad are going down to our apiary to move our first hive onto Bee Island. And we'll have to do it in the dark, because we want the bees to be in their little house before we move the house. And they go into their house whenever it gets dark, just like you did whenever you were a kid. You had to come home whenever the street lights come on. That's the same with honeybees. We've got the hive in the car, and we're knackered because we've just carried it up. There's Dad. Wave, Dad. Here's me. Where are we going to take it to Bee Island now? That's the hive. This is me. That's Robin. I'm Batman. And Bee Island is just up here. The bridge is just here. Right, we're going to cross Bee Island Bridge and put this torch where the hive is. hive there. Dad's behind me, I can't swim. And now we have our first hive on Bee Island. Like, that's the water. Dad and I had to walk over that bridge practically blindfolded. It was like being on I'm a Celebrity. Dad's just going to put an extra strap on it. We're not going to let them out just tonight. We're going to come back and let them out. We might leave them in until Sunday. It'll be fine. As you can see, we've strapped up this is where they would come and go from, but we've strapped that in with we actually use a sanitary towel and duct tape, if I'm honest with you. That's just what we do, you know. Right, that's us.
Okay, so you started off, you got the beehives together there, and you started looking after the bees and stuff. Then how did you then progress into making products then?
So I had cleared my skin. I'd had an acne probably from the age of 11. And nothing had ever worked. So I started eating raw honey, looking after my gut, and that made a massive difference. And then the spots came back. So really probably about 5 years ago, the spots came back, and it was around honey harvest time. So I had honey in the house and I had beeswax in the house. And I just put like this little balm together. I didn't really know what I was doing, but again, you know, sometimes you just feel a compulsion to do something, and it turns out to be the most amazing thing you've ever done. Well, it was kind of like that. So I put a few bits and pieces together, a little bit of castor oil. I'm not going to give you the recipe, but put it together, and I created what is now my best-selling product, which is called the Beekeeper's Intense Skin Balm. Put it on my skin, and within a week, my the redness, acne scars, my spots, everything had cleared up.
Wow,
and I still use it every night going to bed. And we've now got 120 products.
Excellent.
But the Beekeeper's Intense Skin Balm still is the one that I sell the most of. So I had created a product, and then because I was always in sales and marketing, my job was as a rep for, you know, big brands. I think I was just used to selling and pitching, and you know, immediately started to think of a name for the product and stuff like that. So that led me into then getting the product certified, selling it on Facebook really to begin with. Started a website, had about 3 products at the time, and you know, that was sort of 3-4 years ago, and now we've 120 products and a shop.
Brilliant. So the shop's in Ballygowan, isn't it? It's an old post office, isn't it?
It's in the old post office in Ballygowan, yes. I live in Ballygowan, so it's just round the corner. Ballygowan has been incredibly kind to me and very supportive, and I really wouldn't want to have it anywhere else.
Yeah.
I just love it. So it's been, you know, the local people are coming into the shop, they're able to buy their cards, their gifts, get skincare. So yeah, it's been great.
Amazing. And you very kindly brought this little hamper along for me today.
Indeed,
So
yes.
what all have we got in the hamper then?
We've got some bath salts, we've got a wax smell, we've got some soap, I can't remember, a little lips,
Loads
a
of things
little
in here.
bee stick for your lips, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few
Wow.
bits and pieces in
And
there.
of course, you must have these on sale in time for Christmas
Do
as
you
well.
indeed have, yeah, and you can even create your own gift baskets as well. If you come to, there is a soap in there that contains my honey and beeswax, and it's made with Guinness as well, so that's for your face and your body. So it's called.
How did you come up with that then?
I
with
don't
the
know.
Guinness?
Do you know what? Like, so we've got 120 products, certified products. I don't know how I've come up with them. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I was never very good. Like, whenever I look back, I was never that good at anything else, to be honest with you. But I seem to have found my calling a little bit later in life. I'm just good at making stuff like that.
So people will want to check out your products that you're probably online. Give us your website and all that.
behavenbodycare.co.uk
Brilliant.
is the website. And we've got an app as well. So they can go onto the website and download the app, or you can go to your app store and type in Behaven Bodycare and you can download the app.
Great stuff. And of course, they can follow you on TikTok as well.
And
Lots
Misbehaving
happening there.
123.
Fabulous stuff. Emma, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much
Good
for
to see
having
you.
me. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we started off the show tonight talking about a Christmas show. We're going to finish about talking about another one now, this time the Snow Queen, which is currently running at the Lyric Theatre here in Belfast. Two of the cast members, Ben and Calla, join us now in the studio. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Snow Queen, tell us all about it. How's it been so far then?
It's been going great, yeah.
Yes.
It's been absolutely fantastic having the people in, especially the kids, and seeing their reactions. It's been fabulous.
And of course, the reactions have been amazing because it really is a magical story, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, yeah. And at 11 o'clock every morning during the week, we have schools in, and just seeing their faces light up, you just know that the magic is real. it's really happening.
So tell us about your character. You play Gerda, don't you?
Yes, yeah. So Gerda, I would say she's quite similar to Jo in Little Women, that sort of independent, strong-willed female protagonist of the story. And I think that she goes on a journey of self-confidence throughout the story, and she uses every character that she meets to build up her self-belief, to know that she can get to the Snow Queen's castle. So yeah.
And what about the Snow Queen? She's a bad character, really, isn't she?
Well, now, some people may think that, but the Snow Queen is outstanding. Ruby is just one of those mystical characters that she's almost so bad that she's so good. You just fall in love with her character, and you can't help but love the Snow Queen by the end. She does have a softer side to her once the story evolves. Okay,
so Ben, tell us about your character then.
My character is best friends with Gerda. Kai is very adventurous, and the sort of setting is a town where everything's the same. It's all sun and smiles, and one day he just realizes that there must be more out there, and he wants to go traveling, really. And then things start to go a bit downhill from there in terms of things for him as a character. But yeah, he's very adventurous, and the bond between Kai and Gerda is very special.
And of course, you've got a great ensemble cast with you as well in this, haven't you?
Yeah, so there's 7 of us in total, and every single one of us is doing everything, from the actor-musicians with Aaron and Darren, to just all of us dancing, doing flips, different accents, playing different characters. Christina in the cast, she's playing 3 different characters. Wow. It's fantastic. It really is a group performance, and it shows us off individually.
Yeah, definitely.
Now there's something about a reindeer people keep talking to me about. What's the story with the reindeer?
The mystical Ba. Ba comes into the story just near the end of Act 2, and Ba has previous encounters with the Snow Queen from journeys before. So this is Gerda's partner in crime, so to speak, getting to the Snow Queen's castle. So he really is a friend that takes Gerda to the place she needs to be.
Brilliant. Okay, right. If you had to choose a favourite part of the show, what would your favourite bit be?
My favourite part, and I've said for like the past 3 weeks, is in Act 2 when we get to Tansy's world. So Tansy is the element of fire, and there's just something about the TikTok dance that we do, and then the scene that we go into after. I just think it's the most fun to do as an actor, and I just look forward to it every single time I come to do the show. So that's my highlight of the show.
And is appearing on the lyric stage, is that a dream come true for you?
Yes, most definitely. I've never performed on the lyric stage before. I've only ever went to see productions myself growing up. So to actually step on the stage just feels surreal to me. Even now, nearly 3 weeks into performing, I still don't think it's real. So I'm very, very lucky and grateful to have this opportunity.
And you were away in London training, weren't you?
Yes, I was, yeah. I trained at Italia Conti Art Centre, and I've lived in London for 3 years, so it's really nice to be back on home ground to do this show and to meet old friends and to share this experience together.
Yeah, now Ben, I remember you from Paperboy.
That's right, yes. No, I did Paperboy twice, and I'm back, but completely different vibe and atmosphere, and it's different because, you know, it's such a long run that we're doing. We do 2 shows a day for 6 days a week. It requires so much from us, both mentally and physically. But we've all bonded so well, and the cast, it really is such a great cast and ensemble. We all bring each other up. But yeah, it's been fantastic to return back. Everyone's so kind, from the people who work at the bar and the cafe to everyone backstage. So it's been really wonderful. And like Calla said, we knew each other years ago, so it's just wonderful to see familiar faces.
And you did your training in Glasgow, didn't you?
Yes, I studied at the Royal Conservatoire Scotland, also with Aaron Halliwell. He was my classmate who's in the cast. So yeah, but like nothing beats home really, especially at Christmas, you know, so I'm just glad to be back.
So if you had to choose a favourite part of the show, what would yours be?
You know what, it has to be the opening. There's just so much energy, so much colour, so much vibrance, yeah, and it really sets the mood. We get to see the audience and, you know, get to pick feedback off them, the atmosphere, so I'd say the opening, for sure.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and the best of luck with the rest of the run.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that's all we have time for on the show this evening. Thank you to all my guests. Thank you for watching as well. And let's finish off with another brand new song from Cara McGillion's new album. Here she is with I'm All Right. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Well, it's been a long time, glad to see your face. I knew we'd meet again another time, another place. Can't believe it's been so many years. You better grab a chair and a couple of beers. Looking good in your three-piece suit. You know I always knew you'd take the business route. You were always the one to follow the light, and it looks like you're doing alright, yeah. I've been singing for my rent and singing for my supper. I'm above the below and below the upper. I'm stuck in the middle where money gets tight, but I guess I'm doing alright. I'm alright. It's a beautiful day and not a cloud in sight, so I guess I'm doing alright. I'm alright. I got a good old friend here with me tonight, and I guess I'm doing alright. Well, we had a lot of dreams when we were younger. They thought we were crazy, but we had the hunger. We kept a lot of friends, skipped a lot of class, been on top of the world and knocked on her. We lost touch, we lost in love, we lost our minds when things got tough. But meeting time is a losing fight, and I guess I'm doing alright. I'm alright. It's a beautiful day, not a cloud in sight, but I guess I'm doing alright. I'm alright. I got a good old friend here with me tonight, and I guess I'm doing alright. Well, I guess I'm doing alright, alright. Well, I hate to see this evening, and God only knows when I'll see you again. Just send me a fax or send me a letter, or give me a call, that would even be better. Give the kids a kiss for me and say hello to the family, and tell them all my future's looking bright. And well, I miss them, but I'm doing alright. I said I miss them, but I'm doing alright.